In today's video, we will be looking at the Doji Candlestick, and this right here is an example of a doji. So if you want to learn how they look like and why they are so important in trading, stick around, and without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Alright, so first of all, let's take a look at what the Doji Candlestick actually is. And to do that, I'm going to pop up Paint 3D here. So this right here is a perfect example of a Doji candlestick. And this right here doesn't even look like a candlestick. And the reason for this is that a doji is a candle session where the opening and closing prices are the same, or at least almost the same. So in this case, the candle opens here. So the opening is at this level right here, and the close is at the exact same level. And if you want to learn more about the terminology and some basics about candlesticks, I actually have a video about that. And to watch that one, you click on the eye up in the corner, it will be linked. But yeah, so what I said here is that a perfect doji is a candle session where the opening and closing prices are exactly the same. But they don't need to be exactly the same. We are fine with them being almost the same. So we could, for example, have a candle that has a small real body right here, but looks something like this. So this right here could also be a doji. Later in the video, we will take a look at what determines if a candlestick is a doji or not. But for now, just realize that it doesn't have to open and close at exactly the same prices. But okay, so right, but what does a doji signal? What can we tell from a doji? Well, a doji is an indecision candle and signals a potential change of the trend. So when we see a doji, we know that neither the bears or the bulls are in full control. There are a fight between the positive price momentum and negative price momentum. So let's do a quick sketch here. Let's say that we have a rally where the bulls or the positive momentum is in full control. We had 3 very strong green candles here. If it then appears a doji on the next session, this indicates that the bulls might be losing control over the price movement. This does not mean at all that the bulls are losing control, but it means that we don't have the same positive momentum as we had before. Now let's take a look at some different kinds of dojis that actually have their own names. If we have a doji that opens at this level, during the day the price action drops down a lot, but then it closes up here again. So it closes at the same level. This is something called the dragonfly doji. And I might make a video about the dragonfly doji on its own later on. But for now, just notice that this is called the dragonfly doji. The opposite of a dragonfly doji, something that opens here, then goes up during the day, falls back, and closes at the same price where it opened. This is called a gravestone doji. So the names here are from that they actually kind of look like a dragonfly and a gravestone. And we can take a look at one more doji, which has very long shadows here. So it looks something like this. It opens here, and during the day it has a very high high and a very high low, but then it closes at the same level. This is what we call a long-legged doji. Alright, but I think I will talk more about this specific kind of dojis in later videos, but for now it can be just fun to learn some special cases here. Now let's take a look at if a candle should be considered a doji or not. So should it be considered a doji? Well, as I said earlier in the video, it is okay to have a small real body when we're talking about dojis, so something that looks something like this. But when we are examining if we should count it as a doji or not, there are a few things we need to consider. The first thing is the relation to the other sessions. So a doji is much more significant if it comes after some strong and long candles. So if we have, for example, some very strong candles here, and then we have a doji, but it has a little body, looks something like this, then we should consider it a doji. So in this case, we would consider it a doji. But if the price action before the candlestick looks more like this, we might have, a candle that looks like this, a red candle, something like this perhaps, and then we get the same pattern as before. In this case, we might not consider it a doji because it's not that special compared to the other recent candles. So one thing we do is that we take a look at the candle's relationship to the other candles. Another thing we can look at is if the market is overbought or oversold. And this right here probably needs a video on its own. But basically, if the market is very overbought or very oversold, we can accept larger real bodies. And the third thing here is how we can combine it with other technical data. So let me write combination with other data. So if we have other technical data that, for example, indicates a reversal, that means that we are more likely to accept a larger, bigger body of the doji. And we can add some points here which makes the doji become more significant. The doji becomes more significant if the following candles confirm the doji. And what I mean by this is if we, for example, we have a doji here, and if we have after the doji, if the rally actually doesn't continue, for example, if we get a red candle here, this candle then confirms that the doji here is significant. So we look at the following candles to decide the importance of the doji. And another thing is, does the market have a lot of doji? And yeah, we say one doji, many doji. The plural of doji is doji. But yeah, we take a look at, does the market have a lot of doji? And the less doji we have in the market, the more significant every doji becomes. All right, now I think we are ready to look at some real life examples here. But before looking, I just want to make very clear that everything in this video is for educational purposes only, and nothing in this video should be considered as financial advice. So there's a little disclaimer before we look at the real life charts here. All right, so first of all, let's take a look here. We have a stock here, which I think you all know about. This is Tesla right here. And a perfect example of a doji was back when it made highs in February. So we take a look at this candle right here. So as you can see, this candle has a open and close at the around same level, but it does have a little real body. But the reason that we can consider this a doji is that if you look at the previous candle here, you can see that we have a very strong move before the doji. That, as we have learned in this video, makes it more acceptable to accept a real body of the doji. So I would for sure consider this one a doji candlestick. We also, the next session, the next day, we got a confirmation with a big red candle. So in a short term, this doji candle actually predicted that the bulls was losing control over the momentum, and we actually saw a short correction here the following days. We can take a look at one more example here. All right, so what we can see right here is the brutal crash caused by the virus I can't even name. But at the bottom of this crash, we can see something interesting. This candle right here is what? Well, it is a doji. And as we have learned in this video, a doji might signal a change of the trend, a change of momentum. The doji is an indecision candle, and this gave an early clue that the bears were losing their negative momentum. And we can clearly see that this doji actually marked the very, very low of the crash, and after the doji, the price started to rise again. So dojis are very important, can give very important clues about the market. And in this case, we also got a very strong day after the doji, which confirmed the importance of the pattern. But yeah, guys, I think that's pretty much it for this short video. If you found any help or value out of it, please consider dropping a like. And if you guys want to see more videos, don't hesitate to subscribe and hit that notification bell. I hope you guys have a great day, and I will hopefully catch you in the next video. But for now, guys, take care, have a nice one, ciao.